maybe we were too hard on Morbius. I got back from Madam Web yesterday, and me and the girlfriend saw it for Valentine's Day. I'm going to, by the way, try to keep my burping to a minimum in this video. I cannot promise I will not burp. Like in just a moment, I'm pretty sure I'm going to burp, but I will do this, so it's not like just me being disgusting. Okay. That was a minor one, thank God. Maybe it's starting to slow down. My reflux is going haywire right now. It really is. I'm trying everything to keep it under control, but for some reason, it will just not stop. But maybe talking and focusing on something else will help me to keep it in check. So, Madam Web, the film no one was really up in arms about, not up in arms, no one was really clamoring for. Like, we clamor for our Spider-Mans, our X-Men's, our Avengers, but Madam Web, is not one that I think, first off, Madam Web is very niche. And like, if you watched the animated Spider-Man show, you would have known who Madam Web probably was. You might have forgotten, but you would probably know. But Madam Web is a kind of niche character. So right out the gate, it wasn't starting off strong. You had a decent cast, all things considered. You had Dakota Johnson in there, Sydney Sweeney, Celeste O'Connor from Ghostbusters Afterlife, who I liked in that movie. You had Adam Scott's in there. You definitely had a large or a group of talent in there. You had talented people in there. I don't know much about the director in terms of what they've done, but you have the writers of Morbius and Gods of Egypt. Gods of Egypt, I admit, I had some guilty fun with Gods of Egypt. It was kind of cool to see like that mythology portrayed, just, not portrayed amazing. But I heard the reviews were bad. I'm like, they can't be that bad, but I'm expecting a bad movie. I think we were being a little hard on Morbius. This movie may very well be one of the worst comic book movies I have ever seen. Period. And I've sat through Steel with Shaquille O'Neal, Batman and Robin, most of the 2000s schlock, which I actually think Daredevil's a relatively good movie, but for people who think Daredevil's bad, Daredevil. Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is just an okay film, not bad, but still, I've sat through Bloodsport. I kind of liked Hellboy, the newest one, but it wasn't a good movie either, overall. I sat through Morbius, and I've sat through a lot of the DC, a lot of stuff from DC that wasn't so great. This is the worst comic book movie I've sat through both Venoms. I actually like both Venoms quite much, and I sat through Morbius. And I think this movie is worse than all of them. Oh my God. You know why? We're going to use Morbius as a good example here. You know why this is worse than Morbius to me? And my girlfriend and I were having this conversation. She liked this more than Morbius. I did not. At least in Morbius, I felt like the people gave some level of a damn. Great, there's only like 3 main characters, plus like Tyrese Gibson is in there, and he's definitely phoning it in. But, like Jared Leto was just kind of giving a pretty mellow performance, but it didn't seem like he was phoning it in. Matt Smith was loving every minute he was on screen, and then the girl, I can't remember the actress's name, she's also in Andor. She at least looked like she was giving someone a damn. So at least our main leads were giving a damn. You know, the only person who's who's doing the best he can is Adam Scott. Adam Scott was playing as best he could. He was the only one who actually felt he had a personality, and a likable one at that. The 3 actresses, again, Sydney Sweeney, Celeste O'Connor, I believe her name is, and Isabel Merced, I'll give them this, they didn't seem like they were just phoning it in, but there's other problems with them. But oh my God, I didn't know this until I found like earlier this week. Apparently, when the first trailer for Madam Web came up or debuted, she fired her agent and moved over to a different agency. And you know what? That shows, because that whole bland wooden dialogue you get in the trailer, my mother disappeared in the jungle while she was researching spiders. Excuse me. That wooden delivery you get is literally, except for like one scene where she's like confronting her past, is the entire performance. She was not here. There's a line I pointed out there's a line early in the movie where, because they're paramedics, her and Ben Parker, we know he's Ben Parker, Ab Scott, are like getting a patient there, and she saves a life, and he's talking about being invested. It's like, I try not to get invested too much, or to get overly involved too much. I'm like, are you talking about the movie, your character, or this performance? Because oh my god. And Dakota Johnson is a good actress. She's one of the few redeeming qualities of the 50 Shades of Grey movie. Not that those movies are good. They aren't. But she's at least giving a damn in those movies. At least in the first couple, too. I still contend in the first movie, that scene where they're like writing up the contract is actually a relatively well acted scene between the two of them. And kind of funny. I loved her in Bad Times at the El Royale. I love that movie. That's a great movie. She must have read that script and went like, there's nothing I could do. And even if there was, like, you can't blame her 100%. In fact, you can never blame an actor 100% for a bad performance. You can never do that. Never 100%. You can blame them even the majority, but you can't blame them 100% because they are being directed a certain way. The director is in charge of the actors, how they're moving, what their tone is, what they want personality-wise to come from them. That is the director's job. Tone is everything. The vibe, the presence that you're giving as a performer is dictated by your director. If for whatever reason, this director, maybe this director's a Parks and Rec fan, because again, Adam Scott's the only one who walked out of this with a relatively decent performance. And he's the best one in the film. Like, performance, he's the best one in the film. And it's like, at best, it's a good performance. Like, that at best. It's not like Oscar winning. Nothing's Oscar winning here. This is a Razzie winning film, definitely, but not Oscar winning. Maybe he's a Parks and Rec fan. And I'll tell you what, I leaned over to my girlfriend at one point in the theater. I realized what the problem is. And I'm going to the Parks and Rec analogy. There's a scene where they're eating Chinese food, and I'm listening to her delivery, and I'm listening to his delivery. Obviously, Ab Scott played Ben Wise. He's played two Bens now. And I'm like, maybe she's not, maybe Parks and Rec fan, because she's playing it like April Ludgate. She's playing it like Aubrey Plaza. And this awkward, almost antisocial, deadpan tone is very much Aubrey Plaza. And I'm like, Aubrey Plaza can make these lines almost funny. Almost. If you've ever watched Parks and Rec, think how April would deliver lines and put her in there. That's how Dakota Johnson's playing up this character. But because it's not, because Aubrey Plaza is a very different actress than Dakota Johnson, it does not work. It does not make her likable. It doesn't make her endearing. I'm not rooting for her at all. Like, even when we get the explanation of her relationship with her mother in the end, I'm like, I still don't care. Because, honestly, even though we learn why her mother the way she was, I'm like, I'm sorry, that does not endear me to you as a person. Like, it doesn't, because no one in this movie, apart from Ben Wyatt, and I'm calling him Ben Wyatt, fuck Uncle Ben, it's Ben Wyatt. No one apart from him is in the one friend they had who unfortunately gets killed, Mike Epps. And Emma Roberts, who plays Mary Parker. No one, like the majority cast, isn't likable at all. Save for, again, Ben Parker and Sydney Sweeney's character. What's her name again? Julia Cornwall. She's perfectly tolerable. Of the three girls, she's the most tolerable. Isabella is whatever. So, Anya Corazon and Celeste O'Connor's Maddie Franklin. So the film is apparently, it takes place in 2003, so she is apparently a millennial in this movie. Okay, cool. I am a millennial. I am part of that generation. I don't identify as millennial, even though I know it's not a thing you can identify as. It is your time period. The problem is, at least the term millennial got co-opted not into when you were born, but like personality. After a while, I'm like, I do not identify as millennial because it got turned into got co-opted as a term for personality, not when you were born. But point being, I am a millennial. I don't come from money. She comes from money, and we learn more about them. It's like, boo-hoo, my petty story. You just don't give a shit. But oh my god, they were doing everything in their power to make this particular character the most unlikable bitch you can imagine. You want to know our intro to all these characters? One, we meet, you see it in the trailer. We see Isabel is in like the apartment complex, like guys trying to collect rent. Sydney Sweeney is there in the hospital trying to visit her stepmother, but whatever. Her dad is like, no one's well written in this movie at all. I'll get that in just a little bit. And then we meet Celeste, Maddie. You want to know how we meet her? She's hanging on the back of a garbage can, on a skateboard, or garbage truck, on a skateboard, then gets off to go to school, nearly gets run over by the ambulance, and decides to flip off the ambulance. And even Dakota Johnson goes, who flips off an ambulance? Like, I'm sorry, you little entitled bitch. What? And it keeps doubling down on it. These are just badly written characters. They have no survival sense whatsoever. The bad guy's hunting them, and what do? They decide to go to that diner scene you see in the trailer. They decide, oh, there's this bad guy hunting us. She said she'd be back in a couple hours. I'm hungry. Let's go to the diner. Oh, let's dance on the table to Britney Spears. Let's just cause all this commotion and gather this attention. Admittedly, she does call them out on it, and they're now like, oh, okay. Like, you didn't buy it the first time the evil spider dude was coming after you? Let's get to that, too. Ezekiel Sims. I'm well versed in comic lore. I'm a nerd. I've got a Batman shirt on right now. And I do know who Ezekiel Sims is. I don't read a lot of comics anymore, but I'm well kept up on a lot of comic lore. I did know who Ezekiel Sims is. And he's not, first off, he's not a bad guy, usually. In fact, majority of the time, he's not a bad guy. He's more like a, not an adversary even. He's kind of an ally to Spider-Man in many ways. So right out the gate, that's not Ezekiel Sims. Again, like everyone else, this actor is just given nothing. Wooden dialogue. His dubbing is horrible. But okay, fine. Maybe they get him right. And like, no, they don't. Like, what is it? He's going to kill these girls because they're going to kill him in the future. That's what you see in the trailer when you see them in their spider form attack him. It's visions of him being killed in the future. I'm like, okay. I've already heard multiple theories about how he could have avoided this fate. Like, okay, move. You keep seeing this future in your apartment. Move. Or change the color of your wallpaper. Change the future. Then the vision would just be a different color wall. Or just don't go after them. Do you ever think of that? Do you ever think maybe the reason you're going to go die in the future is because you fucked with them to begin with? You ever think of that? And look, there's nothing original about his spider abilities either. I at least give him credit. They did not give him spider web. They didn't give him web shooters or like the ability to produce webs. But he's just literally like, he's wearing like an evil spider suit, really. I don't know. It looks fine. Frankly, I wouldn't even say fine. It looks passable. But they never actually established, is this like a Venom thing where he kind of just morphs the suit on? Or is this a suit he's carrying with him when he transforms, or like when he has to turn into evil Spider-Man? My guess is it's the latter, that it's a suit he's wearing. And all I have to say is, wait, you made a suit? Like granted, the spider people, those exist, kind of have their own suit. It's not really a suit, but it's kind of a suit. So yeah, You want to know how this all starts? With spiders. Researching spiders and a special magic spider that gives you special super awesome powers. Yeah, now screw the radioactive shit. It's just spiders. Special magic spiders. This movie is bad. And I think it really comes down to Dakota Johnson is not a bad actress at all. Like, no, most of these actors, I haven't seen Tahar Rahim, who is the main, who's the villain, Ezekiel Sims. Let me see what he's been in. Hold on, I'm checking right now I got IMDb up here. See, he was in Napoleon, which I heard wasn't that good. Don Juan, which I didn't see. The Serpent, didn't see. Did I see anything this guy's been in? He's been around since at least 2016. Okay, he's been in Santa Claus, not the Santa Claus. I don't think I've seen anything this guy has been in. He's been around on the scene since 2006. But yeah, I have not seen anything this guy's been in, which is fine. Not that big a deal. There's a lot of actors who I'm like, oh, I've never seen these guys. Oh, that was Mike Epps, for God's sake, who played O'Neill, who's the guy who died. Great. So they're all good performers. I know that. I've seen a chunk of them do good. This is bad directing. This is a terrible script. And I've heard a lot of people say, like, I'm sorry for people who get pissed off when, like, say, Warner Brothers scraps films. Like, they shouldn't have scrapped Batgirl. Sorry, movies like this are the reason you scrap movies. Because if Batgirl come out and was like the equivalent of this, it would have damaged the Batgirl brand. It would have damaged the already dying DC Universe brand even more. It just would have been a mess. This is the same with like Coyote versus Acme. Now, from what I understand, this might not be a bad movie, but they're just like, no one wanted to take it, so this might just get shelved. I'm sorry. Maybe you're trying to build up a cinematic universe, but I'm going to be honest. There's nothing really building up a cinematic universe here apart from introducing some spider people. You don't have a post-credit scene at all, so there's nothing that's really tying it to your overarching cinematic universe. And while I'm still going to go see Venom 3. I'm still going to go see Kraven. I'm going to go see those movies because I like comic book movies. Every once in a while, you get shit like this. And shit like this is the reason the term comic book fatigue goes around. There is no fucking thing called comic book fatigue. In general, there are people who get tired of comic book. Mark's one of those people. He's kind of over comic book movies at the moment, and that's fine. But in terms of like the wide majority of people, that term doesn't exist. It's bad movie fatigue. It's mediocre movie fatigue. I'm just going on a tangent here for a little bit because I'm done with hold on. Let me talk about the few minor good things I liked. Liked Adam Scott. There are some decent things they do with their powers occasionally. Like, some of that stuff's actually kind of cool. I did like the outfits that the girls had in the spider outfit. Like, those outfits are good. There's a great shot at the end of the movie. And there's one or two jokes that do actually land. There is a joke in their scene involving a baby shower that is so painful. But there's a joke right before the baby shower that I did get a chuckle out of. I'm like, okay, that's kind of how an antisocial person would have reacted to that. That's about it. That's all I got. Now, let me go on a minor tangent here for the remaining like 3 minutes, going in 20 minutes. Believe it or not, we've been in like the nirvana of comic book movies since around Iron Man to now. And even then, it might have started even earlier with X-Men. We have not been living in a perfect utopia of comic book movies. Not all the DC movies landed. Not all the Sony movies landed. I mean, box office-wise, many of them did well, but not all of them landed. In fact, majority of those DC films, even when they got good reviews, did not make money. Then you got things like Bloodsport. You got things like Hellboy. You got things like Morbius. Now, Morbius was coming out a little later to this, but still, comic book movies have not always been hitting it. But we never noticed that because we were living in this utopian era of the MCU. From Iron Man to right around Spider-Man Far From Home. That's where I want to say that's where, not even Spider-Man Far From Home, because Black Widow honestly was not a bad movie, I think. I think most people agree. It was a fine movie. It wasn't amazing, but fine. I would say the bubble burst right around Eternals, but then came back with the No Way Home. Doctor Strange still did very well. It was right around Thor: Love and Thunder. You could say the bubble actually finally burst, because at that point, not only were you dealing with the movie side of things, you were also dealing with the Disney Plus side of things. And once the quality of the majority of the MCU started to dip, that's when we became more aware of everything else going on. We were a lot more forgiving of the bad shit from other studios because the MCU was consistently great. But that didn't stop the fact that we didn't always have perfect comic book films coming out. So we've always been having shit going on, but there's always been enough of the good to balance it out. Now we're starting to kind of hit that middle ground. Now, luckily, yeah, we have a bad movie with this. Well, you can't stop that from happening. But hopefully, Deadpool 3 is going to be the thing that revitalizes. I'm sick and tired of seeing people say it's going to save the MCU. The MCU doesn't need saving. It just needs a kick back in the right direction, or a punch back in the right. I punch and I kick. It needs a punch right in the back in the right direction. That's when it needs a right rejuvenation. The issue with the MCU ultimately just came down to too many cooks in the kitchen. Power was taken away from the controllers and the creatives. Now that power's back, a lot of those cooks have backed out, and they're going to be backing off. So hopefully, for the MCU at least, that's going to start to revitalize them. Deadpool 3, at the very minimum, is going to have a boss opening weekend. And if it's even half as good as it looks, we're in for a good time. And hopefully, that's going to start the comeback again of the MCU. A new second wind that's going to get where everything is just going to keep kicking off and being like, yeah, MCU's back. And we get another 15 years of glory. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine like a phoenix rising from the ashes? Oh, it's so good to be back. Let's show them how we do it, boys. So yeah, that's my little rant on that. Again, there's no such thing as comic book movie fatigue. If you are tired of comic book movies, individually, that is true. But if you're talking about the major whole and talking about like the zeitgeist, that's not what's happening. It's mediocre to bad movie fatigue. Because you notice that people's interest in the MCU started to drop when the quality started to drop. And obviously, there's people who didn't like all the movies, like every one of the movies. None of them have a perfect score, but the majority of people did. Anyway, I digress. Madam Web is shit. It really is. But you know what? I have nothing for that sentence. It's just shit. Probably the worst comic book movie I've seen in a long, long, long time. But who knows? Hopefully Deadpool 3 will be better. Hopefully Venom 3. I like both Venom movies, so hopefully Venom will be better. Kraven at least has a much better trailer than this one did. Yeah, that's the thing, dude. The trailer for this movie sucked ass. At least Kraven's looks fun. At least it looks like Aaron Taylor Johnson's having fun. Russell Crowe's just actually giving a damn. The people in the movie look like they're giving a damn. Anyway, I digress. So, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be back tomorrow with the Bob Marley story, the One Love biopic. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.